So Bobby and I were just chatting about different types of pre-approvals and, how there's like not really an industry standard. And we thought it would be cool to actually just record this conversation because it may help some other people when they're trying to figure out what they're looking at when it's coming to reviewing pre-approvals, right? There's multiple offer situations. Listing agents have to review a lot of different offers. And as we were talking, we just realized there's not an industry standard. So how do you figure out which pre-approval is valid and which one really isn't even worth the piece of paper it's printed on?
Yeah, so we basically came up with, there's really 4 different ways that you can pre-approve somebody. And we just kind of wanted to talk about those with you and just, explain what they are so you know what to look for and what to ask and how to prepare your clients to make the best offers that they can make.
So I think when somebody typically calls in to get pre-approved, what it comes down to, I mean, I say this all the time, it's really the lender and the loan officer that they're talking to. Because even within a company, like Bobby, you and I were just talking about, there's different ways that people do their pre-approval. So like we in our branch and my team have a really high standard that we keep up for pre-approvals, but you're going to see different types from all different lenders and all different loan officers. So like you were just saying, Bobby, there's even a pre-approval. We review everybody's credit, financials, do our automated underwriting, right? Because we want the pre-approval to be solid so that when they're under contract, there's no underwriting issues. That's our job, to then get through the mortgage process seamlessly. But sometimes people do a pre-approval and they actually haven't even reviewed financials.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the most basic one is a prequal, and that's, I don't even know why people give letters for a prequal. I mean, it's in my mind, I don't want to say it's worthless because it can be good for somebody that's just starting out to say, hey, am I even in the ballpark? Right. I make $35,000 a year. I have this, like, I want to buy, a house for $400,000. It's like, all right, well, a prequal can I don't want to say weed those people out, but it can, it can weed those people out.
It can be educational. Let's put it can be educational.
yeah, exactly. So, but then there's the pre-approval where, they actually fill out an application and a credit, either soft or a hard credit report is pulled. And, they put in what they make and their assets and everything. And it usually gets run through an automated underwriting system. But some loan officers just stop there and they issue the pre-approval, trusting the information that was given to them by the buyer.
Right.
We don't like to do that. So that's, I would say, the lowest level of the actual pre-approvals. What Lindsay was saying is what we do is we actually collect all their financials. And as loan officers that have been doing this for a long time, we're good at analyzing these things, and we can verify the information that they've given us and either identify any red flags that we have to look further into, or say, okay, this is great, and we can feel confident about it, and then issue an actual pre-approval letter itself.
Right. We don't want any more gray hair because, 29 years old for both of us, and it's really taking a toll.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think that's the key piece. And it's not that when a customer calls and, they do kind of the verbal like pre-qualification or the verbal pre-approval where we're talking about their financials and everything. It's not that necessarily the customer is, well, I like to think the best people trying to fudge their information, but the reason we want the actual financial documents is because sometimes the calculations, the way that underwriters look at things, it's a lot different than the way we look at our income in real life, right? So we want to make sure we've got all the documents so we can do all the checks that we anticipate underwriting will do, so that when they're actually under contract, everything goes smoothly.
Yeah. So, and that works both ways, not to interrupt you, but it goes both ways. I mean, we get people all the time that will give us their net income and we work off of gross income. Right. So it works that way. And then, maybe they just started with overtime or another job and they put that in, but it's like, we can't count it.
I can't actually use it. Totally. And especially like business owners or people that get a lot of commission, bonus, overtime, whatever. Sometimes people, they don't really even know how much earnings they make, right? Because it varies all the time. So, but I think that's a good differentiation. Can't talk in the afternoon. So we've got the kind of basic pre-qualification, which is like just verbal. We've got the pre-approval where it's like probably done a credit check, probably run automated underwriting stuff, but maybe haven't gone the extra mile to actually look at the financials. Then we've got the one where the loan officer's really done their due diligence, looked at the financials. That's what we do. What else can people do from there to get an extra leg up on the competition?
Well, then they can do what's called a fully underwritten pre-approval, which we love too. And basically what happens is we treat it like it's a live loan, just without an address. And we actually submit everything to the underwriter, and the underwriter reviews it. And when all said and done, we give them basically a conditional approval letter subject to an address. So the only things left on that should be things like appraisal if it's needed, title on the house, and getting their homeowner's insurance.
Yeah.
You know, it can include some other things, you know, like verifying their earnest money deposit checks have cleared, but we've already verified that the funds and that are there and everything. So that's
that they have income, they have assets, they're
Exactly.
they're good to go. So
So I mean, that's the, you know, that's the best possible thing that you can do. And there's a lot of reasons for it. I mean, it makes your offer that much stronger, especially if the realtor knows, you know, that that's what it is and they can present it that way with the offer. And it also, you know, gives the buyer a lot less stress during the actual loan itself, because we all know, like, things kind of go slow and then an offer is accepted, then it's like a fire drill. And part of that fire drill is having your underwriting, and they're trying to get the purchase and sales, and they're talking to attorneys and they're not used to that language, and they're maybe having home inspections, and it's just a lot for a buyer. So when they can say, well, my financing has already been reviewed, it takes that off the table.
Right. Fully credit approved. And the other thing is they can probably close a lot faster, because it's basically just a matter of getting the appraisal and the title work done and the insurance done. And, you know, that can happen in a few weeks if it needs to. So I won't say too much faster, because then my underwriters and processors, I was going to say like 10 days, but.
Well, they have an appraisal waiver, you know, it's definitely possible.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think the bottom line, really, and we were talking about this before, it's like you've got to really call the loan officer and just say, hey, tell me about your pre-approval process. Because if you get a loan officer that's like, oh, what process, then, you know, you probably have an issue on your hand. But if they can go in depth and say, I always do a thorough mortgage consultation, I talk to the borrower about their goals, their financials, their budget, and piece together the best mortgage program, like, you know pretty well that they're doing the full credit review, financial review, underwriting findings. And then you can always ask, do you have the ability to do the fully underwritten pre-approval? And that could give people definitely an extra, you know, boost in this market, competition wise.
And competition is everything in this market, the way things are. And just to kind of throw this nugget in there, which we have different seminars on, but when we do our fully underwritten pre-approvals, for certain buyers, that'll make them eligible for our cashback program. So ask us about that too.
That's a great plug, Bobby, because I wanted to end with that. Our next webinar that we up is actually on, I'm going to get the date wrong. I think it's May 1st, but it could be May 2nd, whatever that Wednesday is. And it's our home run cashback offer program. So head over to our website, follow us on all of our digital media and everything, and register for that. And you'll get to hear more banter from the two of us. Awesome. Thanks, Bobby.
Thanks, Lynn.